You've been brainwashed into believing that struggle is noble, that hard work over decades is the only honest path to success, and that anyone who achieves rapid transformation must be lucky, privileged, or dishonest. This slave mentality has been programmed into you by people who benefit from your limitation. The truth is that rapid transformation is not only possible, it's your birthright. Every day you accept less than you deserve. Every month you postpone your dreams, and every year you settle for mediocrity. You're committing a crime against your own potential. Your ancestors fought and died so you could have opportunities they never had. Yet you're throwing away these opportunities because you've been convinced that you're not worthy of an extraordinary life. 6 months from today, you can honor their sacrifice by becoming everything you were meant to be. Right now, at this very moment, you are exactly where your past decisions have brought you. But here's what most people don't realize. You are also exactly 6 months away from a completely different life. Not 6 years, not 6 decades, but 6 months. 180 days from today, you could be living in a way that seems impossible right now. Let me tell you about Maria, a single mother working 2 part-time jobs just to make ends meet. She was tired, stressed, and felt trapped in a cycle of barely surviving. Maria had dreams of starting her own business, but like most people, she thought it would take years to build something meaningful. She was wrong. In exactly 6 months, Maria went from struggling to pay rent to running a profitable online consulting business that earned more in a month than she used to make in 6 months combined. What happened in those 180 days? Maria discovered something that changed everything: the incredible power of focused action over a specific, manageable time frame. She didn't try to change her entire life overnight. She didn't set vague goals about someday becoming successful. Instead, she gave herself exactly 6 months to transform her financial situation, and she worked backward from that deadline to create a plan that actually worked. This is not a fairy tale. This is the reality of what happens when you understand the psychology of 6-month transformations. There's something magical about this time frame that most people completely miss. 6 months is long enough to create real, lasting change, but short enough that you can maintain intense focus without burning out. It's long enough to build new habits and see significant results, but short enough that your motivation doesn't fade away like it does with longer commitments. Think about your own life for a moment. Where were you 6 months ago? If you look back honestly, you'll probably notice that quite a bit has changed, even if you weren't consciously directing that change. Now think about what could happen if you took complete control of the next 6 months and directed every day toward a specific outcome. The human brain is wired to work best with clear deadlines and specific time frames. When you tell yourself you'll change someday or eventually, your unconscious mind interprets that as never. But when you set a firm deadline of 6 months, something different happens. Your mind starts working on solutions immediately. You begin to notice opportunities that were always there but invisible before. You start making different choices because you have a clear target to aim for. Most people make the mistake of thinking that significant change takes years. They look at successful people and assume their transformation happened slowly over decades. This is completely wrong. Yes, building massive wealth or achieving world-class expertise takes time, but the fundamental changes that create success happen much faster than you think. The successful entrepreneur didn't slowly become entrepreneurial over 10 years. They made a decision and changed their daily actions in a matter of months. Consider this: every successful person you admire had a period of intense, focused effort that created a breakthrough. Steve Jobs didn't gradually become innovative over 20 years. He had specific periods of intense focus that led to revolutionary products. Athletes don't slowly improve over decades. They have focused training periods that create dramatic improvements in performance. The same principle applies to your life, whether you want to lose weight, build a business, improve your relationships, or develop new skills. The real transformation happens during focused periods of intense effort. 6 months gives you enough time to build momentum while maintaining the urgency needed for real change. But here's what separates the people who actually transform their lives from those who just talk about it. They understand that 6 months of focused effort beats 6 years of half-hearted attempts. When you commit to changing everything in 6 months, you eliminate the luxury of procrastination. You can't waste weeks or months because you don't have them to spare. This creates a powerful psychological effect when time is limited. You become more decisive, you stop overthinking and start taking action. You realize that perfection is the enemy of progress, and you begin to move forward even when you don't have all the answers. This sense of urgency forces you to focus on what really matters and ignore the distractions that usually derail your progress. The beauty of the 6-month time frame is that it matches the natural rhythm of how real change happens. In the first month, you're building new habits and breaking old patterns. By the second month, these new behaviors start to feel more natural. In months 3 and 4, you begin to see real results that motivate you to push harder. Months 5 and 6 are where the breakthrough happens, where all your consistent efforts compound into dramatic, visible change. This isn't theory. This is exactly how transformation works in the real world. Every person who has dramatically improved their life can point to a specific period of focused effort that created the change. They can tell you exactly when they decided to stop accepting their current situation and commit to something better. Your next 6 months can be that period for you. Starting today, you can begin the process that will completely transform your circumstances. The question isn't whether this is possible. The question is whether you're ready to commit to making it happen. Are you ready to stop accepting where you are and start creating where you want to be? The clock is already ticking. 6 months from now will arrive, whether you use this time intentionally or let it slip away like all the other 6-month periods in your past. The only question is, will you look back 6 months from now with pride at what you accomplished or with regret at another opportunity you let slip away? Now that you understand the power of 6 months, we need to address the single most important factor that determines whether you'll succeed or fail in your transformation. This factor is more important than your education, your background, your current circumstances, or even your natural talents. It's more powerful than luck, connections, or timing. This factor is your willingness to take complete, absolute responsibility for your life and your results. And here's a truth that might be uncomfortable to hear. Your current situation is the direct result of the decisions you've made up to this point. Every choice you've made, every action you've taken, and every action you've failed to take has led you to exactly where you are right now. The job you have, the money in your bank account, the relationships in your life, your health, your happiness, all of it is the product of your decision. This doesn't mean you're to blame for everything that has happened to you. Life throws curveballs at everyone. You might have faced challenges, setbacks, or circumstances beyond your control. But here's what separates successful people from everyone else. They focus on what they can control rather than what they cannot control. They take responsibility for their response to every situation, even when the situation itself wasn't their fault. Most people live their entire lives as victims of their circumstances. They blame their parents, their education, their boss, the economy, the government, or just bad luck for their problems. They spend their energy making excuses instead of making progress. They wait for someone else to solve their problems or for conditions to improve before they take action. This victim mentality is the single biggest obstacle to success, and it's completely within your power to change it. When you take complete responsibility for your life, something extraordinary happens. You stop wasting energy on blame and start focusing that energy on solutions. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating better conditions. You realize that if you created your current situation through your past decisions, this shift in thinking is not just philosophical, it's intensely practical. When you blame others for your problems, you give away your power to solve those problems. When you take responsibility, you reclaim that power. You become the author of your own story instead of the victim of circumstances. Let me share what happened when Tom, a sales manager, finally understood this principle. For years, Tom complained about his low income. He blamed his company for not paying enough, his territory for being too competitive, and his customers for being too demanding. Tom spent more energy complaining about his situation than working to improve it. Then something clicked. Tom realized that his income was the direct result of his sales performance, and his sales performance was the direct result of his daily activities. Instead of complaining about his territory, Tom started studying it more carefully to find new opportunities. Instead of blaming his company's products, he learned everything he could about them to present them more effectively. Instead of criticizing his customers, he started listening to them more carefully to understand their real needs. Within 6 months, Tom's income had doubled, and he was promoted to regional sales director. Nothing in Tom's external situation had changed. Same company, same products, same market conditions. But everything changed when Tom stopped making excuses and started taking responsibility. He stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "How can I make this work?" That shift in questioning changed his entire approach and his results. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to do everything alone. It means you're responsible for seeking help when you need it, for learning what you don't know, and for taking action even when you don't feel ready. It means you're responsible for your attitude, your effort, and your response to whatever happens. The moment you accept complete responsibility for your life, you'll feel a surge of power and possibility. You realize that if you're responsible for where you are, you're also responsible for where you're going. You'll stop looking for someone to rescue you and start rescuing yourself. You'll stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating perfect moments through your actions. This is the foundation of all lasting change. Without personal responsibility, you will always be at the mercy of external circumstances. With it, you become the architect of your own destiny. The next 6 months of your life will be shaped by this single decision. Will you take complete responsibility for your results, or will you continue to blame external factors for your situation? The choice is yours. And the time to choose is now. Your transformation begins the moment you stop making excuses and start making progress. Now that you've accepted complete responsibility for your results, it's time to create your blueprint for the next 6 months. This is where most people make critical mistakes that doom their efforts before they even begin. They either plan too much or plan too little. They set goals that are too vague or too overwhelming. They create complicated systems they can't maintain, or simple plans that don't produce results. Here's what you need to understand. Successful transformation requires a specific type of planning that balances ambition with practicality. You need goals that are challenging enough to excite you, but realistic enough to achieve. You need a system that's simple enough to follow consistently, but comprehensive enough to create real change. The key is to think in terms of 90-day sprints within your 6-month timeline. This gives you 2 distinct phases of intense focus, each with its own objectives and milestones. The first 90 days are about building momentum and establishing new patterns. The second 90 days are about accelerating your progress and achieving breakthrough results. Let me tell you about Rachel, who used this exact approach to transform her career. Rachel was stuck in a job she hated, earning barely enough to cover her expenses. She wanted to become a freelance graphic designer, but the goal seemed overwhelming. Instead of trying to plan the entire transition at once, Rachel broke it into 2 90-day sprints. Sprint 1 was focused on building her skills and creating a portfolio. She committed to spending 2 hours every evening learning new design software and completing practice projects. She also spent 1 hour each weekend networking with other designers and potential clients. By the end of 90 days, Rachel had a professional portfolio and had made connections with several small business owners who needed design work. Sprint 2 was focused on building her client base and making the transition. Rachel used the portfolio from Sprint 1 to start landing freelance projects. She gradually reduced her hours at her day job while increasing her freelance income. By the end of 6 months, Rachel was earning more from freelance work than she had at her previous job, and she made the complete transition to working for herself. The power of this approach is that it breaks overwhelming change into manageable pieces instead of trying to transform everything at once. You focus intensely on specific objectives for specific periods. This maintains your motivation while building the confidence that comes from achieving concrete milestones. Your goals must be written down with specific deadlines. This isn't optional, it's essential. Written goals are 10 times more likely to be achieved than goals you just think about. But not just any written goals will work. Your goals must be specific, measurable, and tied to exact dates. Instead of writing lose weight, write lose 25 pounds by December 15th. Instead of start a business, write generate $5.00 in monthly revenue by June 30th. Each goal should be broken down into monthly milestones, weekly targets, and daily actions. If your 6-month goal is to save $10.00, that means you need to save approximately $1.67 per month, $385.00 per week, or $55.00 per day. Or you break it down this way, the goal becomes manageable, and you can track your progress every single day. Review your goals every morning and every evening. This keeps them at the front of your mind and helps you make better decisions throughout the day. When you're constantly aware of your objectives, you naturally start looking for opportunities to move closer to them. You become more focused, more disciplined, and more creative in finding solutions. Track everything. Keep records of your daily actions, your weekly progress, and your monthly results. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets done. Your progress tracking becomes your motivation system. Nothing feels better than seeing concrete evidence that you're moving toward your goals. Most importantly, be prepared to adjust your plan as you learn and grow. The goal remains the same, but the strategy may need to evolve. Successful people are flexible in their methods, but unwavering in their commitment to their objectives. Having a plan is just the beginning. The real transformation happens in the execution. And execution comes down to what you do every single day. Your daily habits are the building blocks of your success. Over the next 180 days, small daily actions will compound into extraordinary results, but only if you choose the right actions and perform them consistently. The most successful people in the world understand this principle completely. They don't rely on motivation or inspiration to drive their actions. They rely on systems and habits that automatically move them toward their goals, regardless of how they feel on any given day. They've learned that success is not about occasional bursts of effort. It's about consistent daily discipline. Start your day with purpose. How you begin each morning sets the tone for everything that follows. Successful people have morning routines that prepare them mentally and physically for peak performance. They don't check their phones first thing in the morning because they know that responding to other people's priorities will derail their own. Instead, they focus on activities that energize them and align them with their goals. Your morning routine should include 3 elements: physical movement, mental preparation, and goal review. This might mean 20 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of meditation or quiet reflection, and 5 minutes reviewing your objectives for the day. The specific activities matter less than the consistency of doing them every single day. Time management becomes critical when you're trying to transform your life in 6 months. You cannot afford to waste time on activities that don't move you closer to your goals. This means you must become ruthless about eliminating time wasters and focusing on high-impact activities. Successful people don't find time, they make time by saying no to everything that doesn't serve their objectives. Track how you spend your time for 1 week. You'll be shocked at how much time you waste on activities that add no value to your life. Social media, television, meaningless conversations, and other distractions can easily consume hours every day. When you're committed to transforming your life in 6 months, every hour counts. Continuous learning accelerates your progress faster than any other single activity. Commit to learning something new every day that relates to your goals. If you're building a business, study business. If you're improving your health, learn about nutrition and fitness. If you're developing a skill, practice it daily. The person you become in 6 months will be determined by what you learn and apply during those 180 days. Use your commute time, lunch breaks, and evening hours for learning. Listen to educational podcasts, read books, take online courses, or watch instructional videos. Just 30 minutes of focused learning every day equals 90 hours of education in 6 months, equivalent to more than 2 weeks of full-time study. Build systems that support your goals. If you want to eat healthier, prepare your meals in advance. If you want to exercise regularly, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to write a book, set up a dedicated writing space and establish a daily writing schedule. Make success easier by removing obstacles and creating supportive environments. Discipline is simply choosing what you want most over what you want right now, every day. You'll face moments when you want to skip your workout, avoid your important tasks, or indulge in time-wasting activities. These moments are opportunities to build the discipline that will transform your life. Each time you choose your long-term goals over short-term comfort, you're strengthening the mental muscles that guarantee success. Remember, motivation gets you started, but habits keep you going. The actions you take today will determine where you are 6 months from now as you progress through your 6-month transformation. You'll face moments that test everything you've learned. There will be days when nothing seems to work, when obstacles appear insurmountable, and when you question whether the effort is worth it. These moments are not signs that you should quit. They are signs that you are on the verge of a breakthrough. Let me tell you the complete story of David, because his experience illustrates exactly what happens when you commit fully to 6 months of focused transformation. David was 35 years old, working in middle management at a manufacturing company. He was overweight, unhappy in his marriage, struggling financially despite his decent salary, and felt like he was sleepwalking through life. He had dreams of starting his own consulting business, getting in the best shape of his life, and rekindling the romance in his marriage. But these goals seemed impossible given his current situation. David's wake-up call came when his 8-year-old son asked him why he was always tired and grumpy that night. David made a decision that changed everything. He gave himself exactly 6 months to transform every major area of his life. He applied every principle we've discussed. He took complete responsibility, created a detailed plan with 90-day sprints, and committed to daily habits that would drive his transformation. The first month was brutal. David woke up at 5 a.m. every day to exercise before work, spent his lunch hours building his business plan instead of socializing with coworkers, and used his evenings to learn new skills instead of watching television. His body ached from the workouts. His mind was exhausted from the constant learning. And his family didn't understand why he was suddenly so focused and intent. By month 2, people started noticing changes. David had lost 15 pounds. His energy levels were higher, and he was more engaged at work and at home. But he also faced his first major setback, a potential client for his consulting business. Someone he'd been courting for weeks decided to go with a larger firm. David felt crushed and considered giving up on his business dreams. This is where most people quit. They interpret setbacks as evidence that their goals are unrealistic. But David had learned that setbacks are not roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Instead of quitting, he analyzed what went wrong, adjusted his approach, and immediately started pursuing other opportunities. He realized that rejection wasn't personal, it was just part of the process. Month 3 brought momentum. David's consistent exercise routine had transformed his physique and his confidence. His wife noticed the changes and began supporting his efforts more enthusiastically. At work, His increased energy and focus led to a promotion and a salary increase. Most importantly, he landed his first consulting client, a small manufacturing company that needed help streamlining their operations. The fourth month tested David's systems and discipline. Work became more demanding with his new responsibilities. His consulting client required more time than expected, and his family faced a minor crisis when his father was hospitalized. Every excuse to abandon his routine was right there, but David's habits had become so ingrained that he maintained them even under pressure. He exercised shorter but more intensely. He worked on his business during hospital visits, and he used the stress as motivation rather than an excuse. By month 5, the compound effect was undeniable. David had lost 40 pounds and was in the best shape of his adult life. His consulting business was generating significant income, enough that he could see a path to leaving his corporate job within a year. His marriage had been revitalized by his increased confidence and energy. His relationship with his children had deepened because he was more present and engaged. People who hadn't seen him in months barely recognized him. The 6th month was when everything accelerated. David's success in one area began multiplying success in others. His physical transformation gave him confidence to pursue bigger business opportunities. His business success reduced financial stress, which improved his marriage. His improved marriage made him a better father, which gave him more purpose and drive. Success was building on success in every direction. On the exact 6-month anniversary of his decision to change everything, David looked at his life with amazement. He had lost 45 pounds and gained muscle he hadn't had since college. His consulting business was generating more monthly income than his corporate salary. His wife told him she felt like she was married to a completely different person, the man she had fallen in love with years earlier. His children were proud of their dad and excited to spend time with him. But the most important change was internal. David had proven to himself that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. He had developed unshakable confidence in his ability to solve problems, overcome obstacles, and create the life he wanted. The external changes were impressive, but the internal transformation was life-changing. David's story illustrates the multiplier effect of focused transformation. When you improve one area of your life with intense focus, that improvement spreads to every other area. Physical fitness gives you more energy for your career. Career success reduces financial stress, which improves your relationships. Better relationships give you more motivation to maintain your health and continue growing your career. Success breeds success in every direction. But David's transformation didn't end at 6 months. It was just the beginning. He had developed the mindset, habits, and systems that would allow him to continue growing for the rest of his life. He had learned that he could achieve any goal by applying the same principles, taking responsibility, creating a plan, executing consistently, and persisting through obstacles. This is what's waiting for you 6 months from today. Not just improvement in one area of your life, but transformation in every area. Not just achieving your current goals, but developing the capacity to achieve any goal you set in the future. Not just changing your circumstances, but changing who you are as a person. The question is not whether this level of transformation is possible. David's story proves it is. The question is whether you're ready to commit to making it happen. Are you ready to take complete responsibility for the next 6 months of your life? Are you ready to plan with precision, execute with discipline, and persist through every obstacle? Your transformation begins today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Today, 6 months from now. You'll be somewhere. The only question is whether you'll be somewhere by accident or somewhere by design. Choose design. Choose transformation. Choose to give yourself 6 months to change everything. The time is now. Your moment is here. Your transformation starts today.